Hey friends, it's good to see you. It's Thursday. That means it's time for the Tarot Topics Weekly Newsletter Recap. Tarot Topics comes into your inbox on Wednesday. Different topic each week. We talk about it and do readings about it on Thursday. If you're not receiving the newsletter, you can remedy that. There is a link in the description to read the newsletter, subscribe, also to book an appointment with me and to find out more about StaarCon 5. So do all of those things. All right, our topic this week, assumption versus intuition. And this is another topic that you all kind of fed me, but not really this time. It was something that came up during a live stream. I don't remember who I was reading for, but it came up in the reading about like this whole thing about assumptions versus intuition. I was like, ooh, there's a newsletter topic. So it became the newsletter topic. And then subsequently, I discovered that other people have written about that topic. Like I thought I was being totally original, that I'm the only person on the planet who had thought to compare assumptions and intuition. I was wrong. So I was able to include a link to one real smart person about that in the newsletter. So it's a fun topic, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We can verify your assumptions. We can talk about intuition. We can talk about anything that fits into that category, which if you think about it, if it's about I intuited this or I assumed this or whatever, it's pretty much anything. So let's go over to CardCam and see what we see. And the first thing we'll see is today I am working with Joyous Ocean's favorite deck, Modern Witch, and it's her favorite deck for a reason. It's a great deck. All right. And of course, as we get started, a special shout out to the members, the moderators. If you're here for the first time and you want to play, you'll have to subscribe, but please do. And if you happen to be local, I am going to be doing my Teaching at the Library free tarot class at noon thing coming up this Saturday. So join me in West Palm Beach at the Mandel Public Library, free tarot class, 12 noon. Who wants to miss that? Nobody. Hope to see you. All right, I will take these in the order in which I see them as always. If you think I'm skipping someone, please let me know. Starting up with Mediha Nest. So good to see you. Thanks for being a member for more than 2 years. Thanks for using members only emojis. I just realized I don't even know what I'm assuming. I'm usually caught in the fear-hope cycle, not trusting anything I might be thinking. I feel like assuming would be a step forward. And I started the newsletter with you know, the joke about what happens when we assume. And we all know, that joke. I didn't say it, but just so we're all on the same page. The joke I grew up with is what happens when you assume you make an ass out of you and me, which is the spelling of assume, A-S-S, ass, you, me, M-E, right? So that's the joke. Trey, I knew that joke, right? Right. So when we talk about an assumption feels like a step forward, that's really hardness because we try to avoid assumption. But I see what you're saying, that you've got, you don't feel like you have anything solid to hang on to. So in that, at least an assumption would feel solid even if it wasn't solid. I understand, and I'm sorry you're going through that. So I'm going to supply, before we do your question, I'm going to supply another question, which is, what can you do to come out of this fear-hope cycle and come to some grounding into something that is real? Martha Vink, I remember learning that from our high school social studies teacher. Yeah. Six of Cups. So before I answer the question you asked, oh, and Teresa, don't make assumptions is the third of the fourth agreements. I hadn't even thought about that, but you're absolutely right. And I love the 4 agreements. So thank you. Thank you for that. And Barbie Bird comes in, love the 4 agreements. Yeah, seriously, so good. So good. All right. So, Ness, in order to come out of this cycle, you have to remember who you are. And you have to remember that you have survived everything life has thrown at you. And you have to remember this and enact. Remember and practice the spiritual practices of your youth. Those are things that would help you in this. Now, here's the question. Is what I've been worried about true? Is what I'm hoping for true? Is it a mix of both? Okay, what you're worried about, is it true? I mean, it's true that what you're worried about would not be ideal. That's true. Is that thing likely to happen? Maybe not. But the thing that we need to remember is that even if it did, like, you're catastrophizing it more than you need to. I think. I think you have some serious and real concerns here, but I think you may be catastrophizing it and emotionalizing it more than you need to. Jeannie Mnuchin, I relate to the fear-hope cycle. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Okay, and is what you're hoping true? I think so, yeah. Yeah. I think that is, I think based on what I see here in the cards nest, unless I'm really misunderstanding, I think that what you're hoping is true enough that you could just place your faith, I don't know. You could place your faith in that and be perfectly fine and experience much less anxiety if you were to do that. So. All right. Here we go. Ness, that's good to hear. Don't you love it? It doesn't always happen, right? And you have to be very ready that you're going to get the answer you're going to get, right? But isn't it great when the cards can just swoop in and be super reassuring, and it's like not even a stretch? You saw the cards. That was not a stretch in any way, shape, or form. That was not a positive spin. That was legit. We love it when that happens, right? All right. Hey, Caroline McLaughlin, good to see you. Thanks for being a member for more than a year. Thanks for using members-only emojis. Next question I see. Trey Cameron, good to see you. Thanks for being a member for more than a year. Ness, you're thinking the cards sometimes reflect your own anxieties. Yeah, that can happen, I think. I think that can happen. All right. Trey, am I on more of an upward trajectory in my life? I've seemed to be happier lately, I've noticed, and more engaged with things I had set aside, always a good thing. Or is this just my imagination? I mean, it's not about imagination, it's about intention. And I feel like there's always this question, like, not just for you, for all of us. Who's driving the bus? Like when we talk about inspiration for creativity, do we wait for inspiration to hit and then we create? Or do we invoke the inspiration because we have time and energy to create, so we're going to get inspired? Same thing when our mood is elevated. Is our mood elevated because of some chemical cycle in our bodies? Is our mood elevated because we chose to let that happen? I mean, is our mood elevated because the weather was good? Like, there's so many reasons that could happen. And you know, whatever that reason would be, you would be happier. But I feel like, and I'm not trying to be all like toxic positivity on you, but I feel like if you could just take this moment and taste it. No, sorry. I'm quoting Taylor Swift at you. No, seriously though. I mean, there is something about that. Take the moment and taste it. That to be in this happy space, it feels good. What does it feel like? And how do you invoke that the next time it needs invoking? How do you bring that in the next time you need to bring it in? Oh my gosh. Oh, truer words never spoken, Trey. Everyone, I think, can relate to this if everyone's being honest. I think if you've been unhappy for a while, when you start feeling better, you can be mistrustful of it. Damn straight. Right. And the thing is, like, okay, what is the one advantage of being like a negativo person? You know, like what is the one advantage of allowing yourself? And I'm not talking about, like, you know, if you're in clinical depression and trying to get out of it, that is a hard place to be. And I'm not suggesting we all magically snap out of our mental health issues, right? I recognize that it doesn't work that way. But I also recognize that there are ways that happiness and unhappiness can be a choice. And if we choose unhappiness, if we choose pessimism, the one advantage of this is that when the shit hits the fan, and you know it inevitably will because we all live on planet Earth together, and one thing we know is if it's going great now, there's something's coming down the pike. It always is. And so if you're a pessimist, when that thing comes, you're like, yeah, I knew that was coming. But I think we can be happy and prepared for the inevitable nonetheless. And that is why I love the quote from Desiderata, nurture strength of spirit to hold you in times of sudden misfortune. So like happiness is actually a better shield against misfortune than is unhappiness, if you look at it that way. So, the way I see this, Trey, why are you in a better mood? I think you've actively opened yourself up to the possibility. I think this is your doing. I'm not thinking necessarily that this is chemical or something external. I think you chose it. And I think it will continue if you continue to choose it. Now, we recognize that is, I mean, for those of us who have these tendencies that may be chemical, that, you know, whatever, that may have to do with just the way we look at the world and what we see in the world. Like, I've never met an intuitive person who didn't on some level struggle with a certain amount of depression. Because if you can really see all that's out there, it ain't pretty a lot of the time. And it takes a lot. And that's what we have to do. This is not just for you, Trey. This is for me and every single one of us. We have to actively cultivate the mood and the attitude. And it's not about denial. It's about recognition of our own power to make choices and to navigate well. So no, it's not just your imagination, it's your choice, Trey. That's the bottom line. You chose it. Keep choosing it. Recognizing that some days it's easier than others. All right. And I love this. A book flung off my bookshelf this morning was that spirit. Trey. And you're here, so I'm going to ask the question. I will answer the question when you answer my question. You do not come up in here and tell me that a book flung off their shelf and you want to know if it was spirit without telling me which book it was. Good Lord. I don't care if it was the dictionary. I don't care if it was in a language I don't know. I don't care. Tell me about the book. Oh my gosh, the book name was The Sword of Truth. Oh my gosh, okay. And so The Sword of Truth, it just gets better. Okay, by Terry Goodkind. You know, that sounds familiar. It's a novel. Got it. It's a fantasy novel. Yes, I knew that was like familiar and was giving me warm feelings. So that makes all the sense in the world. Sort of fantasy sci-fi situation going on there. Maybe, something like that. Somebody gave it to me and I haven't read it yet. Yeah, I love reading that kind of stuff. It's like one of my guilty pleasures. Anyway, so this book flies off the shelf. The Sword of Truth. Was it a comment? Okay, first of all, was it spirit? I mean, I think anytime something like this happens, we can usually find a way to point to some possible physical cause. But it happened in that moment with that book. So I'm not looking at it like, yes, it was your great Aunt Lucy. Like, it doesn't feel that way, but I think it's still worth interpreting. And the question is, what are you to interpret from it? Should you interpret anything from the title, The Sword of Truth? It may be something that you're thinking or contemplating. It was trying to sort of tell you that, yes, that is true. It may be that. Is it telling you to read the book? Yeah, read the book. See if there's anything there of interest. It might be helpful to you. I mean, I know it's a novel, but I'm sorry. I have been way more helped in my life by novels than by nonfiction books. And I'm a writer of nonfiction books, but I'm going to tell you that, stories help me most. So, Trey, you are very, very welcome. Very welcome. Okay, that was super fun. I'm a bookworm. I love novels, and I'm a writer of fiction. I admire writers of fiction. If I had more time and energy, that's something I'd like to learn to do. But yeah, I love to read fiction, and I learn a lot from it. All right. Trey, you have a good day too. Lumen, what is the topic for today? It's a fun one. Assumption versus intuition. And Lumen, you outed yourself. You have to subscribe to the newsletter now. Okay, I'm back. Hang on. Who's up next? It's Jeannie. Jean Mnuchin, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a member for 3 years. Can my guides and spirit help me to let go of damaging assumptions by This is a question that is a full-on magical spell. Class is in session. I want you all to screenshot or write down that question and play with it. Because as you say it, it is an invocation to spirit. And what a healing thing it is. I will perform this reading now. But this is not just any reading. This is an entire magical spell, and I love it completely. Okay. Can my guides and spirits help me to let go of damaging assumptions by revealing any unhealthy assumptions I carry that are not true? Let's do that. Cheryl, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Yes, newsletter every week. Or do you not subscribe to the newsletter? There's a link in the description. When we're done here, you can scuttle off and subscribe to the weekly newsletter. It comes out on Wednesday. We come on here and talk about it on Thursday. Today's topic, feel free to ask a question. It's about assumption and intuition, which, leaves you pretty wide open. Okay, for the kinds of questions you might want to ask. And congratulations on good things going on in your life, Cheryl. Okay, so Jeannie. You have had assumptions over the course of your life that, and I didn't talk about this in the newsletter, but it's true. Sometimes our negative assumptions that weren't true can become true. They become self-fulfilling prophecies. You have had assumptions about your own limitations in terms of success and goals. And in the past, they have sometimes, not always, been true. And so, yeah, that is just one, I think. You assume in certain ways that you are not welcome or not recognized or, don't have the juice. And there have been times when you've been made to feel unwelcome. There have been times where you've been made to feel that you don't have the juice. But honestly, I'm going to say that every successful person has been made to feel that way. The question is, what do you do about it? And I think when you're made to feel that way, it causes you to assume that the person who is making that judgment or making you feel that judgment is somehow smarter or better or more able to judge than you are. And, again, they may hold a position in a community that gives them some cred. But if they're acting like an exclusive dick, How much cred should anybody have? So I feel like it's breaking apart some of the ways that certain people treat you and have treated you, and recognizing that you have let that in some way, not fully, certainly not fully, but in some way that is small but enough to matter, limit you and limit your own sense of potential success. That's what I think. Let me know what you think. And I want us all to be doing that magical exercise at least once a week. It is so brilliant. All right. Melissa, good to see you. I know you're not here with us in person, but that's okay. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are and whatever you're doing. I bet it's work. All right. Thanks for being a member for more than 2 years, and thanks for using members-only emojis. My emotions often get in the way of my intuition. Given my history with Eddie Haskell, I often assume he is being a snake because he is, He has been working from home and is barely helping with a large event we are running. My intuition says he's plotting something, but I need help understanding if I'm just assuming the worst given my history or if my intuition is on point. Apologies for yet another Eddie Haskell question. I need to learn to not be bothered by him and laugh it off, but I end up doing more work because he's a slacker and I resent him for it. I understand that. I completely understand that. And I don't think you need to apologize for this because I think the saga of Eddie Haskell is illuminating for us all. And so everyone get ready for another installment in this, and I'll bring y'all up to speed for those of you who don't know. But I want to go back to Jeannie. So Jeannie, I am so sorry. Yes. Jeannie says agreed. Good. Second part is how to counter it. Can you read on that? And yeah, and I am so sorry because I was assuming, and I apologize. This is like this was a great illustration for me. Like in my mind, I answered that question fully, and I didn't. I assumed that I gave enough information, so let me pull it out. The way you counter it is really by being cognizant of your thinking process and recognizing the power that you give to people who may have more knowledge, more experience, or more followers than you. But you give them more power than they deserve. And you give those times when you've been made to feel small and not enough more power than it deserves in your mind. So it's about reworking those things in your mind from the past and if it happens in the present so that it doesn't hold the power to hold you back. So it really is consciously going in and reprocessing and changing the thinking. And yeah, there's no way you would have gotten that from what I said. So thank you. And that was just in real time a great example for me of things I assume that I shouldn't, and in ways that could be detrimental to the people I work with. So thank you. Note taken. Appreciated. Let me know what you think about that answer as well. Okay, Melissa. Okay, the saga of Eddie Haskell. I have had the pleasure of knowing Melissa for a little while now. Not as long as some of the people. Martha Vink, I see you. Not as long as some of the people here. But what, 2012. I've known you since 2012. And met you in person for the first time in like 2013 or 2014. That's what it is. So, we've got a decade here. And this person was originally a coworker, small office. And when the boss retired, Melissa was promoted to be the boss of the office now. So Eddie Haskell used to be the coworker, now is the employee. And Eddie Haskell, I gave him the name Eddie Haskell because back in the day when the two of them were just counterparts with the same boss, the boss favored him because he was being Eddie Haskell. Now, who is Eddie Haskell? This is going to age me. It's going to age all of us, but you probably had Nick at Night. And I think it's from Leave It to Beaver. From Leave It to Beaver, Eddie Haskell was a friend of the Beaver, of Wally and the Beavers, and he was awful, but he was really nice. in front of Mrs. Cleaver. And so Mrs. Cleaver was just like, oh, that nice boy, Eddie Haskell. And he tormented the beaver. And so that's why I called Eddie Haskell, because he could be so nice to the right person while being a complete and total douche canoe otherwise. So that's the background. And now she's the boss. Now Melissa's the boss. Okay, so that brings us all up to speed. Here we are. Okay, we're talking about intuition and assumptions, so pretty much anything from there. And Jeannie, thanks for clarifying. We'll take some work to reprogram, but understood. Yeah, I think that's the work, is the reprogramming. Okay. So, is he plotting something? I mean, other than doing the bare minimum. Like, I think the assumption is that he is doing the bare minimum, except when it gets certain eyes on him because he likes accolades. And he doesn't care about accolades from you. So he's doing the bare minimum except in those circumstances. But is he also plotting something against you? Well, see, when you say, I need to laugh it off, I do understand that you probably do. Like from a leadership perspective, you probably do. Because there's no way you're going to bring this guy to heel. Your leadership structure is not going to let that happen. So you have to supervise him, but you can't really supervise him. Do you know what I mean? But do I think he's planning something? I think he's certainly talking to his cronies, and you know who his cronies are. And I think, like the idea that you're like shaming yourself, you have had an abusive relationship with your coworker and now employee for a long time. Of course, you're on potato chips around him. Of course, I mean, not even around him, but because of his existence, having to deal with him. And so do not apologize for this, and do not think that you should be able to handle it differently, because that's what we do when we're in an abusive situation, is we blame ourselves. I should handle this differently. But I mean, what are you going to do? So do I think he is plotting something? You are always going to have that feeling. That's not your intuition. You are always going to have that feeling because of your history with him. I can't say that I think he is, but I know he's talking to his cronies. The question is there anything here that could be harmful to you? Not the worst. I mean, Ten of Swords reversed, like, it's always a problem, right? But like, okay, is there anything that you need to know here? No. I think the way he's most harmful to you is just psychologically. And in a weird way, he represents every bad man that has ever been in your life. And so, I think we do a good job by making him Eddie Haskell, because then he's just a little kid. But he feels worse than that. So the thing is, he might or might not be plotting, but I don't think he poses you any more danger than the usual here. And so don't feel bad about the way you respond to him. You have been the survivor of his abuse for a long time. And the system you're in perpetuates it. So what are you going to do? All right. Okay. Lumen, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Joyous Ocean, you're up next. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a member. Thanks for using members-only emojis. I've got some assumptions about my mother and my sister, and I'm wondering where the truth lies in between. How can I find the truth and use it to heal our relationships? How can I find clarity and use it to heal our relationships? I'm going to be on the train. Might have to listen to the recap later. So now we all picture Dion on the train, right? Like, is she sitting? Is she doing this? I'm just getting into that New York groove. I love New York, I have to tell you. Okay. Okay, the assumptions you have, and you've put them together, and I think they are similar. Like, I think No, you did not, Barbie. I've been super talkative. I'm just sitting up in here talking. So no, you did not miss your reading. Nope. Nope. Nor did I miss you. No. Okay. All right. Here we go. So I'm doing the mother and daughter together because I think they share a personality trait. Assumptions and intuition, Wendy. Read the newsletter. Seriously, if you have not subscribed to the newsletter, read the newsletter. Please. And I'm glad you're here. It's so good to see you. Thanks for being a member. All right. The assumptions you have about your mother and sister, the truth. Okay, here's what I'm getting, and I'm about to really say bad things about your mother and your sister, and I recognize your sister is Jada's mother, and I apologize. I recognize that, there is something like we can talk bad about our mother all day long, but someone else does, and it's like, So I'm really sorry. I do not mean to speak ill about these people, but I think there's something really clear here to understand. Here's how I see it. Feel free to message me later. We can talk it out because this is heavy, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. So here's how I see it. Your assumption is that even though they are difficult animals, even though your mother and sister are difficult animals, your assumption is there is some way you can come in and drape roses over the whole thing and find a way to wrangle them in a way that will be really sweet and nice, and that when you're not doing that, it's your fault, it's your flaw, you're not strong enough. That's your assumption. The truth, ain't no one wrangling those people. So the idea of improving your relationship is going to be about seeing them for who they really are without the roses. Gotta love them anyway. But seeing them who they are and figuring out the ways in which they are dangerous to you and putting up enough boundaries and barriers and buffers, and then whatever is in between, that's the relationship you're going to have. Good luck. Oh, Raquel, the Sword of Truth is on Kindle Unlimited. I also have Kindle Unlimited, and I love it. I have found so many really decent, trashy authors. So good, so good. Okay. Smile Soul 20, so good to see you. Thanks for being a member for 3 years. Damini. Which is really divine guidance and which is from ego? Ego instills fear, yes. But how can I be sure it's not divine guidance trying to protect me? So we're looking at what are you afraid of? Like, is there fear? I mean, I think you have to look at what is real. And if there is something that is objectively appropriate to be afraid of, don't act out of fear, act out of strategy. Bring strategy. Address fear with strategy. That's really the case. And, I wouldn't worry so much about divine guidance as I would trusting your own logic and ability to do what you need to do to find solutions for yourself in a difficult time. Oh, Cheryl, thanks so much for being here. Take care. Oh, Barbie Bird. Low-key wish I could ask you to read my family members to filth. That we could do that as a members only, because I would never want the public to see that. Christiana shit talks your family. Straight truth on your family. Okay, you know what that is. It's a members. Okay, y'all have been so good about this, because I don't have to keep explaining it. Someone please text me, not here, but someone text to my phone or messenger or something. Members only generational trauma. That's how we do that. Right? Right? We can do that, class, but I'm only going to do it in the members only format because, well, for really freaking obvious reasons. Because we all recognize all the things that can go wrong with this, right? But yeah, there can be real healing that comes from it as well. So, very good. Wendy would be amazing. Glad I'm a member again. It won't be till November, just in time for the holidays. Shall we do that? Because I've already got my schedule together up until then. So make sure you've got like till November to become a member. There you go. All right. I love that my semi-joke is so honest that it can just turn into a class. Hey, we aim to please. All right. Sarah Foreign, blessed be to you. I sometimes have trouble feeling fully relaxed. My muscles are always tight. How can I change that? I'm not a doctor, and you should run this by your doctor before you do it, but magnesium is so freaking helpful. Oh my gosh. Anyway, because yeah, I am the same. Oh my gosh, I am the same. But let's do a reading on that. Change some of the things you're telling yourself. It's self-talk too. You have to self-talk. And it's almost like you shame yourself. Like when you find out you're like that, you shame yourself because I shouldn't be like that. But there's a lot of physicality stuff you can do too. I mean, I think it really is. It's not just a psychological thing. It's also not a spiritual thing. It's really not. It's a physical thing. So there's that. Okay, LP, good to see you. Vaishali, I always wanted this topic. There you go. Mix you here. What assumptions am I making about my family that aren't true? Any advice there, or any of my assumptions about my family true? Okay, there's how you see your family. Your feeling is that your family doesn't want to hurt you. Your family loves you. Your family cares about you. And mostly they are decent people who just don't quite know, what to do or understand you or understand your choices. That's the assumption I think you make, generally speaking. And I think that's true. I think that's true. Your family, in my mind, is like completely well-intentioned, but also damaged and limited in the way that they are. And what that means is you can never really have certain deep conversations with them because they cannot see their own, and I'm talking about certain family members right now, cannot see their own stuff. Like they're not where you are. They're not where you are in their own development. And that's going to be hurtful. Yeah, exactly. Makes you well-intentioned but clueless, and you cannot try to give them a clue because they won't, they'll be defensive if you try to give them a clue. So that's going to limit your comfort level with them. But it is just what it is, you know? The genes came together for you in a way that made you a little deeper and a little smarter in certain ways than many, many of your family members. You are different. You're different. And in that difference, you know, it's painful, but there's no intent to hurt. That's what I'm going to say. I think a lot of us could relate to that. Do you agree? I think so. I'm the one who has to break the ancestral trauma pattern, and you can't, like, they can't participate, you know? They just have to carry it. They can do it after they die. They can't participate. Yeah. All right. Vaishali, I've always been told to follow my intuition. Yeah, that's a dangerous thing to tell people. Because what is your intuition, right? What does that even mean? I'm with you, make sure. Okay. I've always been told to follow my intuition, but I always get confused with my thoughts as to what really my intuition is. Yes, you and the rest of the world. And what is assumption or delusion? Fear, desire, all of these things. How do I get to know that it's my intuition and not assumption, and how do I listen to my intuition more? So I would avoid the things like, your intuition is always your first thought. Wrong. You know, like, it's going to be different for everyone. You have to figure out what the truth feels like for you. It's really trial and error, but it will help. It'll help if you breathe and slow down. It will help to recognize that the voice of intuition is usually just a whisper, not always. And that you have to detach. You have to detach from your own feelings in order to really feel your intuition. These are things people will not tell you, but it's true. And so for you, what you need to know, anytime your thoughts are telling you that you suck and can't do what you need to do and are not capable of being successful, that is never, ever, 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 ever your intuition. Your intuition does not shit talk you. I can tell you that right off the bat. Right, the first thought is not intuition, man. That's a Western thing. A lot of Western people will say that. Oh, yes, just always trust your first thought, bitch. Yeah, that's a bad idea. Bad, bad, bad. Okay. So, how do you, Vaishali, listen to your intuition more? You have to get out of your emotional mind. That's really the key. Not all the time, but just like when you're ready to check in. Like, the key is not just all the time, all the time. The key is check in. Like it's a divination. Just take a moment and drop into your intuition. Breathe and let it come to you. I do it a lot in the shower. Okay. Martha Vane, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a member. Thanks for using members-only emojis. Emotions can cloud our minds so easily, making it hard to distinguish between assumptions and intuition. Question: are there things about which I'm making assumptions that I need to change? And I mean, it's probably true that all of us are to some extent, I think, just because we're human. So I'm going to ask the question, like, what are? And then if, like, nothing comes up, then okay, fine. Yes, I've heard that intuition never screams. It whispers from another person too. I think often that's the case, but I've had those times where my intuition was like, do not do this. And like screaming at me. And it turns out later I had a very clear idea of why I shouldn't. So sometimes it will, you know, and that's the thing. Like, anytime in this world of psychic and spiritual work, anytime we talk always or never, I think we're in trouble. Make sure I'm laughing at you. I wanted a hug from Greta after all that, and she scrambled up my arm and onto the window ledge trying to get away from me. Keep a sense of humor. Okay, Martha. What are the things that about which you're making assumptions that you need to change? Every single thing that keeps you up at night. Every single thing that is like of your list of things that you're anxious about, attached to each anxiety is an assumption. There's a lot of it. There's a whole lot of it. That would be a really interesting exercise. Please, when you have time, make a list of all the worries and anxieties you have. And then you can really pick apart which things. Yeah, no standards with intuition. It's true. It's true. And how we experience higher power, you know, how we I mean, there is the divine ecstatic experience, which is like why the Grateful Dead is so popular in a lot of ways because of the ecstatic dancing. Where else do they do ecstatic dancing? Like in churches. I mean, not the church I grew up in, but the fundamentalists, like the really bad fundamentalist evangelical churches, many times they do ecstatic dancing. And so, like, that's something we can say as part of a spiritual practice. There's something physical going on there. It's psychological, it's physical, and it's designed. And you could get people to dance ecstatically about mayonnaise if you did it right. So anyway. Right, Martha, I know. This is what I'm telling you. Yes, this is a big thing. You could do some really serious work on this. And after your time away, you're ready for this work. So go. Do the work. Okay. Gemini Sun, it is so good to see you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a member for more than a year. Thanks for being a moderator. Okay, I'm going through a really hard time right now. I feel like you know what it is since you're my fairy godmother. Okay. How can I allow my intuition to get me out of this difficult situation? Will I be able to? Okay, first of all, I am so sorry you're going through a tough time. Can you come to the library on Saturday? Saturday? Noon at the library. Yeah, Martha, you do, but it'll be good. Makes you here. Thank you for laughing at that. Okay. All right. So when we look at your current situation, it is difficult, but look, it came up reversed. It came up reversed. And so either the worst is over or it's not going to be as bad as you think it's going to be. It is difficult, but do not catastrophize it. Like, I'm not trying to make light of it, but do not catastrophize it. You will get through this. And this is the first thing you need to know. You have the ability to get through this. You have. Now, what do you need to know to get out of this difficult situation? You need to know that there are a lot of people who are willing and able to help you. You should reach out to them. Reach out and ask for help. Whatever that is, There are more people than you know that are willing to help, whether it's just a conversation or advice or, whatever, just reach out. And so recognize that there is more help than you realize. And will you be able to get out of this? Oh, like shit through a goose. Yes. Yes. Absolutely yes. Now, how can intuition help you in all of this? I think your intuition can help you chart your path and figure it out. More than anything, I think your intuition is telling you that you need to get out of it. Your intuition is leading the charge for what you need to do. Wendy Robinson, like shit through a goose, yeah. Like shit through a goose. Angelic Michelle, good to see you. Yeah. It's probably like a Canadian expression. Canadians, do you say that? Nova Scotians specifically? I thought of it as a Canadian expression. IT John's family is from Canada, Nova Scotia to be specific. Like shit through a goose to mean something's going to happen quickly and easily. Hey, Revival of Venus, good to see you. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Okay. The deck is Modern Witch. Okay, so Gemini Sun, I made a bracelet this morning and I put it on, and this is how you need to be. Can you read that? You get the point. It says fearless, right? Okay. That's how you need to be in this. And what will help you, Gemini Sun? Be careful who you talk to. Trust the people you trust and let them help you. Be careful about other people. Be highly suspicious. And this is a time perhaps to use magic carefully and strategically. Send me an email. Okay. Angelic Michelle, we're talking about, we've been talking about all kinds of things. We're talking about assumption versus intuition. Ask a question. Okay. Barbie Bird, thanks for being a member for more than a year. We appreciate you. Where are my assumptions in life true? And is R too newly single to actually date? I assume, but you know what they say about assuming, right? So I'm going to do the second one first. Is what about dating R at this? Yeah, no. R is too single to date. Your assumption is true. Where are your assumptions in life true? The ones that move you forward. And Gemini Sun, this card came up for you, and this feels so powerful. And it came up for you about using intuition. Like there is something here about moving you forward. For you, Gemini Sun, and for you, Barbie Bird. You just have to allow your higher self to help you move yourself forward. That's really it. I wonder what those are for me. Anything that doesn't cause you to question the things about yourself that you should not question. Okay. Okay. Justine, so good to see you. Thanks for being a moderator. We appreciate you. How can I use my intuition better and not operate on assumption to improve my life and live in a healthier way going forward? Good question, everyone. Take notes. Justine is like the composer of great questions. You could write a whole tarot book on questions, Justine. I swear to goodness. By recognizing first that intuition will never function when you're in a place of grief and sadness. It just won't. It just won't. All you can do in a place of grief and sadness is look for things that help you to connect to the sense of divine love. Connect to divine love. That's your first step, however you see that. And use your intuition to help you make decisions as you move yourself forward. But right now, you've had so much going on and so many messages coming from so many places. I would say the key really here is more logic. Focus on logic. And the more you are logical, the more your intuition will speak. Be logical, intuition will follow. Okay. Liz Harrison, good to see you. Thanks for being a member for more than a year. Would love anything my guides might have in regards to this topic for me right now. Regarding assumptions, I mean, honestly, Liz, your entire life has been based on assumption. Because here's the thing. When you're in a high control religion, it's all assumption. And so it's all about your deconstruction journey. And the fact that even when you were totally steeped in it, and there are little things where you're still totally steeped in it, but there was always a part of you that knew that something was a little off. You always knew it was that one loose thread, and you were freaking born with that loose thread. And that loose thread is a kind of intelligence that you have that not everyone has. So just know that about yourself. Okay. A penny for your thoughts. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a member and a moderator. We appreciate you. I feel stuck, like I struggle alone with issues not really mine. And I fear it will go on. Am I wrong? Somewhat 50-50. 50-50. Because some of the issues are not yours, but they're issues of people that you care about, so they become yours. It is, in fact, your circus and your monkeys. So it becomes yours. But some of the things are things you've taken on and you could change your perspective on. So some yes, some no. That's really the key. Where can you and where can't you? Oh, Liz, I love that and it resonates very much. Good, good, good. Raquel, so good to see you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a member for more than 3 years. I try not to assume, but when it hits, I have to control the feeling of assuming the worst. My intention led me to find out the truth of where E was last night, even though E said different. Oh, God. So at some point, if your intuition is telling you, and then you discover the truth, your assumption is going to follow that, because at some point it's not an assumption, it's just obvious, it stands to reason. I mean, at what point when it's not assumption, it's a clear deduction? And when someone's bad behavior has been so predictable that that's what it becomes, we have a much deeper issue, don't we? So yeah, I am so sorry there. I don't know, Raquel, if that was your question or not. I'm not sure. Because I don't see a question there, but I'm also sort of scrolling through looking if I do see a question from you. And I don't think that I do. So I'm just going to speak to that truth. And if you have a question, just let me know. Or if I run into it, I'll run into it as I scroll down. So as I speak to this, you know what you know, and what you know is what you know, and it just makes you crazy when someone keeps lying to you. I mean, you might as well just not ever trust anything that comes out of this person's mouth, and it's going to make you less crazy. Nothing about this person should be anything that is a study of assumption versus intuition, because your assumption is always going to be correct because of what you already knew. So I think it's more a question there of how to handle it so it doesn't drive you nuts. That's really the thing. Okay. Oh, Penny, for your thoughts. My ex is helping me be less of a doormat. Good. That is the thing. Okay. Lumen, good to see you. Thanks for being a member. I want to ask what negative assumptions about my family relationships should I be aware of or working on releasing? So what are the negative assumptions you have about your family? Are we sure the negative assumptions about your family aren't true? I Lumen, please correct me if I'm wrong. But I think the reason you make, like I'm going to say the same thing I said to Raquel. I think the reason you make these assumptions is because of history. It's because of history. And so is that an assumption or a pattern? And if there's a pattern, if you don't respond to it, that's on you. So I'm going to say that it's okay to respond to what you see and have experienced. And from there, you can go forward. But anything else, I think, puts way too much of a burden on you, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Gemini Sun, thank you for that reading. Made me feel so much better. Maybe I can try to come Sunday. Yes, and shoot me an email. Let me know what's up. And I will share some thoughts. Seriously. Okay. Kay Talks, good to see you. My husband was in a hit and run after getting a new car from being in a previous accident just a few weeks ago. That is terrible. Both times on the way to work. My question is that this person will get away with it and we're being punished or something. I'm so stressed out going on Baby Moon Sunday. My mindset has been so negative that these bad things are just going to keep happening. So, I mean, it's really horrible, but that this has happened. Like, it's horrible. And it's easy to think, like how can that be a coincidence? But I think it has a lot to do with what the commute is like, and maybe some things about, like maybe there need to be some changes to the route or to some things your husband's doing. Not that I think it's his fault, but maybe there's some ways he can drive to avoid certain problems, is the way that shows up. So there's that. Is the universe trying to tell him not to go to this job? I don't know. Maybe just there's a weird traffic pattern. And do I think that person will get caught? Eventually, yeah. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, no, I think it's just more about how he manages his commute. And I'm going to say, like, how much should we spiritualize these two accidents? It's sad and it's ridiculous, but in each case, if we're going to spiritualize it at all, it's thank you, angels. See, if I do like this, it makes it look like I've got wings. That's kind of cool, right? No, seriously, thank you, angels, because, whew, good. And I think that's where you want to turn your mindset. So adjust the commute in some way. And I know you're feeling so vulnerable being pregnant. I understand completely. I understand. Between the hormones and the reality of creating another human being and the responsibility of how your life is going to change, understandable. It totally is. Kay. Okay. Teresa, thanks for being a member for more than 2 years. Thanks for being a moderator. How can I differentiate between assumption and intuition? Man, the Chariot is such a powerful card for us today. It keeps coming up. You have to check yourself. You have to ask yourself questions each way. Why am I thinking this? Why do I believe this? Why do I believe this to be true? And take it from there. That's the question you always have to ask. Why do I believe this to be true? And see where that takes you. Okay. Wendy Robeson. Okay. Good to see you. Here you are. Ooh, Wendy. Thanks for being a member for more than 2 years. We really appreciate you. Rose has emerged. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Okay, Wendy Robeson, is my intuition about my parents correct, or am I assuming too much? Okay, what are you assuming about your parents? Are you assuming that they mean well, are somewhat compromised mentally, emotionally, or spiritually? Are you assuming that they don't understand you and can't understand you? Are those things that you're assuming about them? If those are things you're assuming about them, yeah, they mean well, but they don't understand me. Yeah, that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. And you have a difficult relationship with them because they feel they have some moral upper hand, some sense of superiority over you, and they use it, and you allow it because you were trained to. And I think you've started setting some boundaries, and I think they don't react well to that, but they don't react well to anything. So you might as well set boundaries and not be afraid of them. Unless there is some clear way in which they can hurt you, and so you have to play. If you don't have to play, don't play. It'll be amazing to you how much healing comes from choosing not to play. Okay. Deep, okay. Yeah, they don't like my boundaries, but I've been sticking to them. Yeah, and they should probably get tighter. Seriously. Like, the less pleasant they are to be around, the tighter the boundaries should get. Okay. And now, here it is, Barbie Bird. So good to see you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a member for more than a year. Oh, no, wait a minute. Barbie Bird, I missed my reading, right? I see you say I missed my reading. Oh, no, I did get to you. Okay, I did get to you. Okay, good. Okay. Oh, good, Wendy. That makes me feel good about my decisions. Yeah, damn straight. I think you're overly kind in some ways. Just saying. But, you know, you got to do what feels right. Okay. But think how heavy that is when I say you've been overly kind. You know, I've got sort of a reputation for being tolerant. But not always. Okay. Oh, Ness, this is your favorite live. That makes me so happy. Oh my gosh. Okay. Lumen, here we go. Can I change my question to what negative assumptions about my father specifically that I should work on healing for my own peace of mind? Been going back and forth about opening the door to him again. Well, let's just do that then. If you open the door to him, you may be able to control the relationship differently, to see. You may be able to control the conversation and control the relationship differently to see just how limited he is. It will not be pleasant, but it might give you something you need and some closure. So just do this. If you open the door to him, recognize that it might be that you're doing that so you can fully get closure and you can fully understand. And do it with a different mindset. Don't do it with hope. Do it with curiosity and good boundaries in place. Is that helpful? Oh, Wendy, you don't understand how freeing this is for me. Now I don't feel guilty about my boundaries and I will set more. That's what we're here for. This is what we're here to do. Hi, Heather. Good to see you. I'm hearing parts of what I want to ask in everyone's questions, which is good because I'm struggling to form one. I spent a long time proving I had to prove my. I spent a long time believing I had to prove myself to others. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's a good question, Heather. I'm going to look forward to that. Okay. Okay. Okay, Angelic Michelle, I've been looking forward to this one. Where is my intuition leading you astray? Never, because true intuition will never lead you astray. The real question is, where is you following something you believe to be in your intuition leading you astray? Where are you following something that you think is your intuition that is not your intuition, if anywhere? Oh, Lumen, good. That makes sense then. That's perfect. Okay, so Angelic Michelle, I think sometimes you think you're intuiting things that won't be successful for you, but no problem, Michelle. I think sometimes you think that you're not going to be successful at something, or even in looking something at the past where you feel like it wasn't a success, but it actually was. Like you have a hard time giving yourself a win. That's what I'm seeing. And I think that comes into this. Tell me what you think. Since you're right here, tell me what you think, if that makes sense. I'll revisit it if it doesn't. Okay. Rose, here it is. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a member for more than a year. We really have missed you. I hope you're doing okay. Part of my intuition says to run away to safety. But is that a trauma assumption or a real intuition? Can I imagine a life where my focus isn't exclusively on safety? Well, yeah, but okay, Rose, I have a thing to say, so pay attention. But first, I'm just going to acknowledge Michelle. That is 100%, and I really didn't see it until you said it. Boom! Excellent. I love it when that happens. Great. Thank you. All right. Rose. Can I imagine a life where my focus isn't exclusively on safety? The only way that can happen is if you truly are safe. And there are ways in your current configuration that you aren't emotionally safe in your current configuration. And so that's going to keep you in this loop. And so I'm assuming when you say my intuition is saying run, that would be to leave the current situation. So let's see. Is the current situation truly unsafe? It's not very grounded. It is safe in a certain way, but it's not very grounded, and it doesn't feel very loving and affirming, and it feels like it's getting worse. It feels like what made you feel okay was the house, not the people. And now that it's the people, not the house, that it's not good. That's what I'm wondering. So if you're feeling the urge to run, first of all, like where would you run to? I do think there are places you could go and people who could help you. Is that your intuition? Like, is it right? Well, is it right to run? Well, let's see. If you run, running feels scary. Running feels scary, but it's you taking control of your life. There are financial questions significantly, and also grounding questions and home questions, but it's not the worst. It just feels weird, and you could then find your balance. If you do not run, well, then you know exactly what you're dealing with, and there are things that are less than what you want, and you recognize that, like, it is what it is. It's comfortable in the familiar, but it's familiar, you know, it's familiar, and you may not be ready to say goodbye. But it's appropriate for you to be having this question with yourself and really thinking about different strategies, for sure. Okay. Okay, so Heather Roberts, so good to see you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a member. So you landed on your question. I spent a long time believing I had to prove myself with others. This is no longer my truth, but the habits are still there, expecting little from others, trying not to be a bother. How can I use my intuition to help me see true friendship? That's our next question. Rose, that's deep and sharp. Okay. There it is. Okay, good. Okay. Night, Penny, for your thoughts. All right, here we go. And I'm going to say something, Heather Roberts. I've been where you are. And I'm going to say it doesn't take intuition. It takes, like, I have this one friend. And we don't get to see each other very often. Like, I call her my BFF. I have a few people I refer to as BFFs. But we don't really get to see each other very often. We always have a good time when we do. And she's like super kind and generous with me. She always is. And she thinks I'm super kind and generous with her too, although I don't necessarily see it. So it's like this argument about, like, you know, we go into a restaurant, it's like a race to, like, who's going to get the credit card to the server first. Like, it doesn't take intuition. And it's not just about money, you know, it's not necessarily about spending money, but whatever it is, it's time, it's honesty, it's communication, it's kindness. Like, it doesn't take intuition. If you're trying to use your intuition to decide if someone's a good friend, I've already got the answer for you. They're not. What do y'all think about that? And now I will do two separate readings for you, Heather. One about intuition in general and one about friendships in general. So, I'm waiting for feedback on that one. Am I right about that? Am I wrong? Like, that's just an opinion. I don't know. All right. Okay. So, Heather, regarding intuition, yeah, generationally, your intuition, when it comes to people, is potentially permanently broken because of your family. Don't even try. Don't even try. It's permanently broken there. You can be intuitive about other things. You can be intuitive about real estate. You can be intuitive about your cat. You can be intuitive about a lot of things. But intuition about people and how people are, unless you've got the time to unlearn 50 years of training, don't bother. Sorry. Now, regarding friends, yeah, just if you can see it with your eyes, these are things that make me happy. These are things I enjoy. I just had a conversation with this person and I left the conversation feeling so good. This person did not say anything that was manipulative to me. This person did not make our friendship conditional on my doing something. This person did not backhanded say some bullshit to me. This person was there when I needed them. This person gets me. This person will tell me that this dress is not flattering, but she will do it in a way that doesn't make me feel bad. it is. Okay. All right, my friends. I think we done did it. From my perspective, I've gotten through it. If I accidentally skipped you or if you're here and have not asked, it's time, please do. In the description, subscribe to the newsletter, read the newsletter, book your appointment with me, please do. And learn about StaarCon, get your StaarCon ticket, please, please, please do. And become a member. There's another link. There's a link there to become a member. Oh, Wendy, you are very, very welcome. I appreciate that. Thank you. So, friends, I think that's it. I'll be back tomorrow with the Friday Weekly Wrap-Up. I put the Saturday Psychic Sampler up, not thinking I won't be here for the Saturday Psychic Sampler because I'll be teaching at the library. I'll try to pop on Sunday for a Sunday Psychic Sampler if I can. My friends, I appreciate all of you so very much. Remember, we have our... Mixuera, are you still here? We have our Problem People webinar on Tuesday. So while we're not going to be shit-talking your relatives there too much, we'll be talking about how to shit-talk your relatives. So, there's that. All right, my friends, take really good care. I appreciate you. Thank you all so very much.